but I'm Carly Claflin. Originally from Southwest Missouri. I went to Oklahoma State. Probably, I believe 2018, they sent out a Pathways internship. And so I applied for it, went through the process, and I started. And I was in Nowater, Oklahoma. 2018, 2019, I went to Sayre, and then Chandler my third summer. So I was converted full time, and I was a soil con in Pahuska, all up until about a month ago. Then I was in Creek County, Bristow. So I'm going to start with a video, our recruitment video, and we'll go from there. If I need to turn it up, let me know.
The Natural Resources Conservation Service is an agency within USDA. We're here to help ranchers, farmers, and other private landowners to preserve our natural resources.
NRCS benefits farmers and landowners by providing technical and financial assistance to help them identify and treat natural resource concerns on the property.
At NRCS, we work as a team.
In communities all across the United States.
Helping people help the land.
I'm Brian Jensen. I'm a wildlife biologist for the Natural Resources Conservation Service. Top things I do is assist our field officers with conservation planning with landowners to enhance and protect wildlife habitat on their property. My job is quite unique within the agency and within the biologist field. I go work in a diversity of habitats. I work with fish to birds to big game. I like the mission of the agency. I like our clientele. I like that we're a voluntary-based organization. It's a great job. Just being a federal employee, there's a lot of opportunity if you want to advance, if you want to move around. I think overall the salary and benefits is very competitive. Every day is different, and I have a chance to make a difference every day.
My career started with NRCS as a ERG volunteer. I started when I was in high school, and I worked my way into the Pathways program. NRCS Pathways Intern Program, it's a program that you go through when you're in college. The opportunity is just absolutely amazing. You're able to see what you're going to do, and you're able to experience the work and just being out in the land and working with others. At NRCS, our job can take us from rural landscapes to urban landscapes. A lot of people don't know that NRCS not only has practices for rural areas, we also have practices for urban areas. We're just a well-rounded agency.
I'm Debbie Sarabian, soil scientist with USDA's Natural Resources Conservation Service. Every day is different for NRCS soil scientists. One day I might be in the lab doing soil pHs, and the next day I'm outside assessing soils for soil health, or outside conducting ground penetrating radar investigations. I think it's a great feeling to be part of an organization that respects and values partnerships, conservation, and private lands.
My name is Arturo Salinas, and I'm an engineer for the USDA Natural Resources Conservation Service. As an engineer, I assist landowners, farmers, and ranchers with erosion problems or any natural resources concerns. The good thing of being an engineer for the NRCS is the team concept. Yes, we have obligations that we carry on our own. I can easily just call any of my co-workers and they'll be there to assist me. I know about dams, I know about bridges, but Natural Resources Conservation Service deals with a different application of engineering. It's more hands-on with nature, and it's just awesome how engineering crisscrosses with nature to have a way of healing Earth.
I'm a rangeland management specialist for the USDA's Natural Resources Conservation Service. We work with ranchers on grazing land conservation. We help them assess their lands, identify resource concerns on the land, and then develop a list of alternatives and plan practices that they can use or that they want to do to help improve the land. I always wanted to work outdoors. I loved agriculture production. Then I started taking range management classes and it just clicked. I knew I'd be able to work hand in hand with ag producers, be out on the landscape, hoping to make positive impacts on the land. And I did apply and get an internship, and that was a great opportunity for me to get time and experience working with NRCS and the different disciplines within NRCS. That really solidified my experience and what I wanted to do in the future with a career. NRCS is great. We do get a lot of benefits. They definitely promote employee development. They provide good training options. They promote us working with communities, not just ag producers, but also doing outreach to local communities and the USDA programs in general.
I think what's special about NRCS is that we have a variety of programs to help assist landowners for whatever their objectives are. My favorite part of my job is being able to assist the landowners and actually see their project from start to finish. I think other people will want to come work for NRCS because to me it's like a big family. No matter where I go, no matter where I work, there's always someone I can reach out to, I can count on, and I think we make a huge impact in society and we make a huge impact with the producers and helping to preserve our natural resources.
Ven, únete a nosotros con el NRCS.
Come join our team at USDA's Natural Resources Conservation Service.
Your field, your world, your future.
For more information, go to usajobs.gov.
Okay, so essentially we kind of started back in the 1930s, so we are a very young agency still, considered. Hugh Hayman Bennett, he had an idea, and he saw a problem in the United States, and he saw that erosion was a very big issue with the Dust Bowl and everything happening. So he went to Washington, and he decided that he was going to keep fighting to start a program, which in 1935, roughly, they were on Capitol Hill, and there was a giant dust storm roll up on in Washington, D.C., and they decided, okay, this is a problem. When it came from the Midwest, they say that you could kind of tell where the dust was coming from, if it was red from Oklahoma, black from Kansas, and then gray from Colorado, New Mexico. So when that happened, they're like, let's start something. So when they started in 1935, they had the Soil Erosion Service, and then they changed to Soil Conservation Service, sorry. So a lot of times the older generation in the agency still has the SCS, just because we changed the NRCS in 1994 to better suit what NRCS was trying to do. We weren't just targeting the soil anymore, we were trying to target everything for conservation. So then that leads us to our mission statement. So it's actually 87 years, but I couldn't find the 87, I only found 86. Our mission statement is helping people help the land. Our purpose is, it's not always easy to try and promote conservation, because a lot of times these farmers or ranchers are stuck in their ways. They've been doing it, their grandpa did it, their dad did it, they want to keep doing it. So that is our kind of goal, is to kind of promote conservation service, so then the land will continue to be better and promote it. So we kind of provide the financial assistance and the technical assistance to do that. And the girl on the bottom right, she was the one supposed to be speaking today. So that was her when she was an intern. Fun little tidbit. So I was a plant and soil science major. You do not have to be an agronomy major, plant and soil science major, to get an internship or this job. There's a whole bunch of different aspects. Essentially, anything with ag, you could basically work it into. We're always looking for new people. We're always looking for new hires. So to start, like the video said, you would need to go to USA Jobs Careers. So this is kind of what you'd look at. We did get a new page. So the old page, we're in the transition period right now. So if you find something that says a link's not there, it's probably the wrong one. But this is what it should look like if you find the correct one. It just changed like a week or two ago. So hopefully it will get figured out pretty quick. So you can do the start your search, or you can look into the more student or graduate programs. Internship positions. So I was hired on as a soil conservationist. There are different internships out there. These are the main two. These are the main ones that we get people in and get people hired on. They do have different requirements, and I'll get into that a little bit later. However, they do kind of do the same type of job. So I'm a soil conservationist. However, I just worked in pure, basically rangeland for the past year and a half. So we all kind of work this together. We work as a family. It's just different titles. As a soil conservationist, you will start as a GS5 or 7, depending on GPA. As an internship, you would start as a 3 or 4, depending on your first year. You'd be a GS3, and it will show later what those are. It'll make sense in the circle. And then your second year, you'll be a GS4. So you do get a little bump in a grade and a pay raise going from first year to second year. So the soil conservationist, if you are a plant soil science major, you have basically all the hours that you need for the job. However, you will need to take some animal classes. So you need your bachelor's degree. You need at least 30 hours in an agriculture class. 12 hours in crop or plant science or soils, 3 hours for sure in soils, and 3 hours in crop or plant science. So you can kind of, it's a little bit more flexible. However, with your range management specialist, range conservationist, because they are more geared towards your animals and your grazing lands, they do require a little bit more schooling. So this would need, you need more animals classes. So that would entail more grazing lands and everything like that, grazing plans. And then you need just 9 hours of general ag. They do have the same scale of salary. That's why they're kind of interchangeable with work-wise. So, this is what it would look like if you're searching soil internship, NRCS, anything. It would have that student training first. These are a little outdated. However, these were the first page that had everything on it. You just click on that, you fill it out, and the USA Jobs looks like this. So when you go on USA Jobs, this is kind of what pulls up. It gets a little confusing. However, once you kind of work through it and everything, just look for NRCS. If you want Oklahoma, you can potentially have that opportunity to go anywhere across the United States. When I was an intern, the guy that was my boss's boss, he had come from Hawaii. And now he's a state soil con of Louisiana. So he went from Hawaii to Oklahoma to Louisiana. We've had people come from Pawhuska to Minnesota. The opportunity's there if you want to go. Get back to my page. So it is kind of, it's not difficult to apply. However, it is a little bit tedious because if you don't have your resume up to date and everything, and your current transcript, if you don't have that in there and you don't have everything how they like it, they will throw away the application, which is very terrifying when you're applying. I know from experience, because you don't know, they don't tell you if they throw it away, they just, so I applied, I sent it in, I had 2 days to send it in, because the deadline, they open and close within 7 days, basically.
Wow.
So, I heard about it, I applied, and then I didn't hear anything else until Christmas break. So 2 months later, I just figured they threw my application away, I missed something. I was a farm kid, I didn't think my application was good enough. I had nothing but working on the farm. So Christmas break, I was about to head back to Stillwater, and I got a call from my supervisor he would be soon. And they're like, hey, we're calling about the NRCS position, are you still interested? And we went through that process, but you don't know if it's sent in or not, so you need to make sure that you kind of follow this and make sure everything is in. Otherwise, it could be thrown out, or you get a call later. So, when I was talking about the GS scales, this is kind of what, can everybody see this? I don't know how to zoom in, so,
It's okay.
I was like, and I can leave it up here if you guys want to come up later and look at it. These are the GS scales. As an intern, you would start at that grade 3 on the very left, and then you move to a 4. So your starting rate would be $28,000 annual, and then the second year would be 24.
So
32.
the internship, this is while you're in college?
This is during the summer.
This is just during the summer,
During the
okay.
summer, and then you do have the potential to work at the state office, so you can continue doing that. When you get hired on, if you get hired on, depending on your GPA, you have to be at least a 2.5 to be hired with USDA. And if you're between a 2.5 GPA or 3.0, you would be hired on as GS5, which would be $36,000.
So, I have a question.
Yes.
Are you making that amount just for the 3 months you work in the summer?
No,
Okay, it's
this
like,
is annually, yeah,
Annual.
this is per year.
but you only work during the summer.
Correct.
Okay.
As a GS4 in 2020, which we've gotten raises since then, I was bringing home about $700 every 2 weeks. So, not terrible. Not the greatest, but not terrible. You do have your retirement. So you can contribute to retirement. You also have option for healthcare. And so they'll pay some of it, you'll pay some of it. Their retirement is very good. They will match you up to 3% full on your retirement. So if you contribute 3% of your paycheck, the agency government will match you 3%, and then up to 5%. So they match you 3% full, and then the extra 2, I believe it's half. So they match you potentially up to 5% of your paycheck that you put in.
Can I ask something?
Yes.
So the internship actually starts your career?
Yes.
Okay.
So when I started as a pathway student, the reason why they do a 2-year system is to figure out if you like the agency and then if the agency likes you. So the big deal with pathways is that if they like you and you like them, you're automatically hired on. So when I transitioned from internship to a full-time solo con, I was sent a list of where I wanted to go, and I chose Pawhuska, and no one else wanted Pawhuska, so I got sent to Pawhuska, and that was basically it. Like, I graduated and I started 2 weeks later. Like I didn't have to apply for it, I didn't have to do anything. It was very seamless, very quick. And now, so I started as a 7, so above a 3.0 and whatever, you start as a 7, a GS 7. That would be $44,000 a year. And then as a GS 9, which is what I am now, because after a year, if you are doing your job, your supervisor likes you, it's not a guarantee, but if your supervisor likes you, you're doing your job, you will be promoted to a GS 9, which is a $54,000 a year.
So that's coming out of college.
That is coming
Out of college straight into this.
I have been out a year and a half, and I am now running my own office. So, as a GS 9. So, and after that, it gets a little bit more. You have to apply out of a GS 9. Yes.
So you only work in the summer for the agency, but like during non-summer months, you can do other things.
You can do other things. You do have the potential to work at the state office, or if wherever college you are, you could work at that field office that's closest to you. There is that potential. So I worked at the state office 2019, that school year. And so they're very flexible. You have to have so many hours. You have to have like part-time or whatnot, but they'll work with you and you just go in there. You don't work with like the field office side, but it's kind of interesting to see how the state office works.
Okay. Question number 2.
Yes.
Would a career in this field have any overlap or benefit to wanting to run an animal preserve? My teenager has decided since she was like 8 that she wants to have an animal preserve when she grows up.
Yeah.
So, like, would those two benefit each other in any way, or?
Depends on hours. So if she does do an internship, she would have to do the 8 to 4:30. We do have a maxi flex, but I don't know if it's really available to interns. So like right now, I'm on schedule 6:30 to 3. So as an intern, she would be 8 to 4:30, so she could work before or after. She'd have to choose her hours, essentially.
I mentioned more like the actual like running off the preserve, like would this knowledge being soil conservationist or anything like that be beneficial to that goal?
What would she be? Explain what the
She wants to actually like have the property, she wants to build the preserve, she wants to rescue the animals, take care of them.
So, yes and no. It would really come from your college degree. We are more towards the conservation side. We kind of promote the grass.
Right.
So she would learn more about the grass and what the animals need. I don't know how much the internships would benefit that knowledge.
May I say?
Yes.
But the education absolutely would. Because every area, from this side of the state to the other side of the state, the soil and the rangeland and all of it's different.
Right.
Red up there, it's not that way down here. So that education definitely would help.
And it really depends on where she wants to go in the state. So,
She's 13. I was like, or are you trying to like think that? I'm like, it's gonna get here really fast. Like 13 got here really fast. So I'm just trying to like, figure out what our steps are.
completely understand. So originally my whole life goal was to go back to Missouri and go back to a family farm. And then I had someone come in and present this to me when I was a freshman in college, and that's really started gearing me towards it, and now I am presenting it to you all. So NRCS does have a lot of job opportunities, and it is very beneficial to all aspects. What I've done in the east side is completely different than what I've done in the west side of the state. It just depends on agriculture and where you are and what you want to do. So this is, and it goes up to, I believe we got a 4% raise, 4.6% raise, so this will change. This is just the most updated as of January. Yes.
One more question. What are the steps? 1, 2, 1 through 10.
So
So the grades kind of like your education level and how many years you've been involved, kind of.
So you get hired on as a 5 or 7, and then you could potentially go up to a 9. From a 9 to an 11, you have to apply for it. So I would no, if I were to apply for a GS11, I would no longer be a soil conservationist. I'd be a resource conservationist. And after that, you have to keep applying. The steps are years. So since so step 1 through I believe step 3, you go up every year, and then after that, it's every couple of years. It gets a little confusing after. I just know I believe the 1 through 3 you go up every year, like it's an automatic. Your supervisor has to push okay, but it's generally an automatic, and then it's every other year, every couple of years, so to speak, until you max out at step 10, and then you're done. The only way up is to go up in a grade.
And I would say, you know, the attrition rate is not big. It's not big because people get in this and they stay as a career, but eventually there will be a turnover, you know, and so the opportunities are absolutely there.
And Oklahoma we need people.
Yes.
We need the people. Yes.
So my question is, so I joined agriculture from the standpoint as a traditional midwife because it goes hand in hand, being that our food and nutrition affects our birth rate, it affects our health rate. Is why we have our women get hysterectomy. Is why men end up with prostate cancer. And the agriculture became agrochemicals where all of that ties into now our sperm quality is being affected. Everything is affected from that. And where I'm at in Muskogee, also as an adult tutor, how can we attract this to our youth where it's a 1 in 4 for every 4 adults. One of them is a functional illiterate, which means they can't read none of this paperwork that you even have. And that's the whole thing for Oklahoma, being that there is no mandatory school system here, so you don't have to even put your kids in school or homeschool if it's not regulated. So you have a broad range of youth that's just out there, and there's no pass down from our elders. Coming from South Carolina, from the East Coast, all this land here is gone. It's filled with apartments and apartment complexes and nothing for us to go to. So when you come over here, even from my standpoint, I did 2 years of biochemistry. I did 4 years in the Navy, and I'm all the way out of even that realm. I'm real traditional. As far as even when I do agriculture, it's more permaculture, going back to how we used to put the land together. So there is no erosion. We actually working with the water system. So how do I even take this, and it doesn't apply to me, how can I get it to apply to the people even in the scope?
So
When it comes to making this a real opportunity.
a real opportunity. So we do have an Earth Teams volunteer system. They can come in an office and they can apply for it, whatnot, and they can work with our field offices as a volunteer, still in high school. So that could be something this applies to them, so to speak, just so they can work side by side. Our programs aren't all geared towards large production, large scale agriculture. We do have where the high tunnel, the greenhouses are big, and I believe in Muskogee they're pretty big. Other than the volunteers, just word of mouth is what I can tell you. Muskogee is a little bit different than what I've worked in enhancement and practices wise. So I'm not 100% sure what you guys do for agriculture, just because I've never worked in the county and I
Oh,
don't.
it's nothing there. I started with community gardens, but it's more building community gardens to get the grant money and letting them run dry.
So let me say that it's local groups like ours that you get in connection with, and there are mentor-mentee programs that they need people to go out there and work, and it's not based on education. If you know how there were a lot of people who they required a 4-year degree, and for a long time that's what they required, and then after a while they realized a lot of people didn't go to college. They were living life experience, so then they started giving credit for life experience. And I believe that it will work that same way because it's needed. It's needed. They need hands and feet on the ground. And so we're working with Bacone now. Bacone is doing their very best. They just put out a whole area that they're going to use for farming, and they need people to work it. And we're working out the details. There are churches in Muskogee who have partnered with our AIA program, who are putting in gardens. They're starting off with a small one, but then the goal is within 3 to 5 years to have an actual big operating garden. And these lessons are being taught when they're alongside of us. So the two young men that I said, they're not in school, not physically in school. But so if you're not in school, come learn from us. Let's learn, actuality. So the traditions, and that also works with the tribes, the traditions can be passed on, and they can benefit because there are technical things that we can learn in that Earth Volunteer Program that we wouldn't necessarily know. But see, you got the education for it. But working alongside of them knowing your name, knowing their faces, seeing that they have a good, that they're dependable, that they're self-motivated, those kinds of things make a difference. And people make exceptions because sometimes the people who are qualified don't have moral integrity.
And sometimes, so a lot of part of my job is to just go out with people and just help them. So that's why we're here. We provide the technical assistance.
Right.
We don't always do everything cost share wise. There's been times when I was in Chandler that we would go out with the community gardens and just kind of, promote something.
Right.
We're just here kind of assist you, either with knowledge or if you get into programs with cost shares. Yes.
Well, to put something out there, I was actually going to ask you, and as well piggyback off the 3 to 5 year plan. What is from grade 1 to 15? What is that timeline? Even if you have a high education, what is that timeline? I'm just here to have a logical conversation.
Timeline?
Even if you have a high education.
So I went from a 7 to a 9 in a year and a half, or I went to a 7 to a 9 in a year.
No, from 1 to 15.
1 to 15, I don't know.
That's the thing. So what I was saying here is, you said we're completing a mission that's going to take between 3 to 5 years. I asked you for that timeline. You should know it. No offense, but unfortunately, the cringing thing about the society, because I embed myself in the poor. I go in the communities that they're just blind to this. They can't see it.
They don't know they eat.
They don't even know what they're eating tonight. So, unfortunately, the timeline needs to go from 3 to 5 years to a week. Now, it may seem like some unicorn stuff that can't be done.
And a month is pushing it.
A month is pushing it because of where society is today. Our children's attention span is. Our adults' attention span is all because they don't, and that's where the character comes in. That they can't even build character because they don't know what they're going to even eat or how they're going to take care of their children.
Yeah.
And this is what we seek to bring here to the people that can read, the people that's able to, the people that can chime into these things right here. The lower end community are the ones that need to be embedded into these programs as well, because yes, they probably don't have the family members that can open these doors for them, but they have more potential than the kids that was born into this stuff because they were comfortable from day one.
There is no way for me to tell you how.
Oh, I'm just putting this out
So
there.
15 is a state soil con. That is a higher position. That is something you have to apply for. Our state soil con just retired and he's worked with the agency for 40 years. But he got that position, so, and I don't know how long he's been in there. He was there from when I started. So from the 1 to 15, that depends on you. Yes.
And I'm from the Cherokee Nation, which is, government in itself. And I'll just say the grades it's a funnel effect.
Right.
There are tons of grade 1 jobs. There's 1 or 2 grade 15 jobs.
Right.
So just because, there has to be an opportunity to have a 15 job.
So I can tell you the time frame from a 4 to a 9, but after that, it's all applying and you have to want to put yourself out there.
And move around the state.
Well, what I'm saying is, instead of it being 5 people that's able to even have, that could reach that 7 to 9 method you're talking about, millions of us should be able to, trillions of should, but we're not able to because of the paperwork and be this, and it's gonna take some time. I'm just speaking on, unfortunately, where society is today and we're overlooking.
Go ahead, David.
Yeah, I think we kind of, you know, this is kind of let's say a chart of progression within an organization. They have that in government, they have that in corporations. Everywhere there is a chart that says, hey, here's entry-level positions, and as you progress through the organization, whether it be the experience, through education, like anywhere else, as you move up in the organization, the number of positions is smaller, okay? We can't take this and apply that to the world and to everything, and I think that's where this young man's getting a little confused. Throughout our lives, there should be opportunities for people to reach those type of level of income.
But it won't be in the same place.
But it won't be in the
Right,
government.
there'll be opportunities, yeah.
In the private sector or general business.
Exactly.
Hopefully we come to a place where there'll be an opportunity for everyone to progress up and generate more income. And
Yeah.
that should be a goal that we're trying to achieve. But when you look at the government's scale, we can't say, well, that's not right. Well, that's what it is. And if you go to a corporation, that's what it is.
Yeah.
If
When you
go
take
to a
it,
tribe,
yeah.
that's what it is. If you want to progress through here,
Yes.
through your years of experience, through your desire to get additional training or additional education, that's going to provide you with an opportunity to move to a higher level. Now, you don't have to, but if you desire to get whatever comes with that higher level, whether it be benefits or income or whatever, if you're going to play in this arena of the government, here's the rules for playing that arena. If you want to play in the private sector, there's some rules that you have to abide by to play in that private sector. So you know, I don't want to get confused by, you know, the general, you know, we got an issue worldwide that we need to address, but not.
Yes, right.
We don't change those institutions.
Yeah, Cian.
Am I correct in saying though that through the programs with the NRCS, if you are an uneducated person, you can tap into those resources and through the private sector potentially reach that type of salary.
Private.
With using their education to help you,
Yes.
they come alongside you, they teach you, they give you information, they help you build, even going as far as providing hoop houses where you can grow year round here in Oklahoma.
Exactly.
And take marketing, do farmers markets and sell to local grocery stores.
Yes.
So I think that through the programs, there's that opportunity.
Yes.
And I have one more question. So you said you started at a 3 based on your education level. Would I be correct in assuming that grade 1 and 2 is maybe high school level? You don't have to have as much,
So
or is that incorrect?
I have never seen a GS1.
Okay.
So when I came on, I was actually a 2. As a straight out freshman, as a freshman going to sophomore, I started as a 2. However, due to my experience with the agency, they did bump me from a 2 to a 4. But typically they get hired on at a sophomore to junior.
College.
Yes, college level.
Yes.
So there aren't opportunities really through that corporation unless you have some college, but the programs is where you're gonna benefit if you don't have that.
I believe so, correct.
Okay, so we have 5 minutes left in this particular, and I know, excuse us, but this is great. This is, question and answer was to be at the end, but this is absolutely wonderful.
This is
and
my last slide.
Okay, so this is, so let's go ahead and allow you to finish.
But what we just talked about is why I don't know how long it takes from a 1 to a 15, because after you get to 11, you have to put yourself out there and apply for it. But everything else from essentially a 3 and 4 is college. You have to be in college and apply for it. Earth teams, volunteers are in high school.
Yes. Question?
Yes.
So I know that you're presenting this, but really, how would you recommend this program to parents and grandparents to steer their children in this way?
100%. Like I said, I was going back to the farm. It's a very hard life. And here I can still work with agriculture producers. I can still promote and help them and see what they're doing and see different country and everything, and get home and be off work at 3 o'clock. Whereas my day would never end if I was home. So, which is also why I chose Oklahoma, because if I went back to Missouri, NRCS, I'd be working 2 jobs of working NRCS and on the farm. Yes.
So the Earth teams, that's just for high schoolers.
Yes.
Is there anything that adults can volunteer for?
I'm sure you could. They're always looking for volunteers. I have never personally done it, so I can't tell you all about all the greatness of it. I'd love to, but I don't want to steer you wrong or tell you wrong. I believe you can start when you're 13. I do have a lady in my office. She is a 12-year-old, and he's about to turn 13, and she's all towards gearing him towards Earth Team volunteers. So there are those opportunities, and you can Google them, as much as I hate to tell you that.
No, I would say to contact your local local NRCS office and ask them in your county. Ask them do they have any opportunities?
Which yes,
David.
Yeah. Do you know if there are other agencies in USDA that have similar programs to that?
To the Earth Team volunteer or pathways?
The internship program where, we got a lot of individuals that they may live in urban areas and not come off the farm like you, but might have very good careers in USDA. FSA has business people that get into loans and things like that. They might be more attractive, and I was just curious, does USDA through Rural Development or FSA have a similar program where someone through high school internship or early college may have an entree into USDA?
So I know the FSA does offer internships. I don't know all the details about it, but since they are our sister agency, I've worked with fellow interns that are in FSA. I'm sure Rural Development does, because we're all kind of like we all kind of work together in certain offices and everything. However, FSA and NRCS are very close. So that is why. So I know FSA does. I just don't know all the details.
Okay. So Rose.
So this question's a little different. You talked about soil erosion and that you're into soil. So on the land where I'm at, my dad had built. There's a big old pond that the spillways washed out, and just in the last 30 years maybe. I mean, it has just eroded just a huge. It's like a canyon now that's washed away, just completely washed this land away out of it.
Yes.
So, is there help to stop that?
What county are you?
Rogers County.
Rogers County. Go to the Claremore field office, and they do have programs, cost share programs for that type of deal. I'm not 100% sure what it would fall under. However, their technician there can go out and kind of help you and tell you what you need to do, what can you do.
We've been there, and there was
been there?
Yeah.
And there was not anyone there?
No, nobody.
Okay, so there's a higher step. If there's not one in the office, there's one. We have a state office, and cost share means they're going to pay part. You're going to pay part of whatever it is that it costs to stop that erosion. But the service is available. If they don't have it in Rogers County, you can go to the state office and they can tell you where to go.
Okay.
I think we had one more question with Kevin, and then we're going to move back over.
You might connect with a county commissioner as well. I was just going to ask if you have any knowledge if tech school graduates or programs would have an opportunity to get a job like this.
That's good. Good question.
So for our two main, the SoilCon and RangeCon, you have to have those hours to qualify.
Okay, specific hours.
Correct. Technicians, they say it's a little bit more towards, as long as you say you've worked on the farm or whatnot, they can apply for that. They do have a lower grade than SoilCons and Range. However, you have that opportunity.
So that's a good one. I'm glad you brought that one up. The technician doesn't have to have all of that all of that education. And that one there is the person who's getting out in the field, because they've combined a lot of offices and a lot of counties, and so it's stretched the soil con, a lot. But that field tech person is really, really needed, and they don't require as much education.
And
But you can
gain
find out,
experience.
you can gain experience, absolutely.
And move up.
Absolutely. Okay, you all, let's give Carly a hand.